Hey folks, Papa Boris here, playing some more Altered the Trading Card Game. Time for another run with Yzmir to see if I can finally prove that this faction is as good as Bravos, Muna, and Ordis. We're up against Bravos, we're going to have our work cut out for us here. Let's see what we're doing. So, I think, based on my current thoughts on the game, you got to keep your Tooth Fairy, and you got to keep Beauty Sleep is a tough one. It's really tough to keep that in the opening hand. But yeah, definitely got to keep your Tooth Fairy, right? Now, you're not going to play that turn 1. So turn 1, what are you playing? You could play the Kadirigan Alchemist, so it's a 3-3. Likely to take a lane on turn 1. And then you have a tempo play on future turns. Or you can keep Alice because she has a higher individual stat, the Water, which makes you more likely to move. I don't like the Disciple. Although maybe you could play it. Well, see, in this particular case, I can't play it turn 1. But let's say you had a 2-drop. You could play it turn 1. And then pitch it on turn 2 to get like a cheap spell off. I think even though this is the rare good version of Dorothy that triggers both times, you just can't keep it. It's just too expensive. And I don't like the Disciple. I think what I'm going to do is get rid of Beauty Sleep. It's too early in the game. I think Beauty Sleep, you have to time it very carefully when you start playing that. Because you can just like dig yourself a hole with the Beauty Sleep. So what I'm going to do here is just pick a lane to win after my opponent goes. I guess I'll win it with the Alchemist, and then next turn I can play the Alchemist and Alice. So we're doing exactly what I said you shouldn't be doing, which is just trying to win with stats. But I don't think I got the right hand. Like I didn't get like Sabotage or something that, or even an Off You Go, the kind of spell that you want to keep in play early in the game. Okay, so we both move once, which is not a huge deal considering my opponent went second. I actually would have liked for them to be first, because then I could have beaten their token. Now it's turn 2 and their token is actually going to be relevant, and I'm not really going to be able to compete with it. I mean, I'll try to drop an Alice on top of it. Okay, so we have Banishing Gate, which, it's tough, man. It's fleeting. You do discard it. It doesn't go to the reserve. It's just off the board. So it's the kind of thing you probably want to keep. But I really want to get card draw with Baba Yaga. Maybe that means that we just pass on Alice. Yeah, we'll get rid of Alice. I think a 2-2-4 for 3 is nothing incredible. The After You support ability, I think you got to wait on for later in the game. So it's awkward here because this token is actually incredible. The 1-1 doesn't beat it. And then Baba Yaga has the 3 forest, but I'm not in forest. It's the one thing I don't have. So I don't beat it with Baba Yaga either. So I could like double team the Alchemist and the Tooth Fairy to tie the token here. All right, they're playing the Rat, which is interesting. I don't know why they played it in the same lane. I would have played it in the other lane to contest both. It means that Wukong's not coming out here. This is the rare one that loses fleeting, so I'm going to be really happy to sabotage it next turn, or this turn. Well, do I want to do it this turn or not? That's the question. What I want to do is I want to get a card with Baba Yaga. The risk, though, is that if I play this now, I can't play the Tooth Fairy now. I'm committed to playing the Alchemist, and then I'm playing face up. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to play the Alchemist, and then I'm going to see what my opponent does with their remaining 3 mana. Because if it is something I can beat with Baba Yaga, then I will play that for the card advantage. But if they play something that I cannot beat with Baba Yaga, then I am going to play the Tooth Fairy and get rid of Sun Wukong. Okay, this is interesting. So if I play Baba Yaga, I actually do move. My opponent also moves, however. Oh, they don't. Oh my god, they don't. Ooh, this is a weird line. Unless my opponent has another rat. But then their reserve would fill. You know, I'm going to go for it. We're playing Mrs. Yaga. It uses my mana efficiently. It stops my opponent from moving. This is the rare version, which has an extra forest and an extra desert. So it's actually fine-ish stat-wise, and they pass. Okay, this is amazing. Oh my god. So we're Yzmir, but we're keeping up with Bravos. They're not getting ahead, but we do have card advantage. I don't know if my opponent had a bad draw or played bad. The rat over here was weird. If the rat had been here, then with that fleeting character, they would have moved and I wouldn't have. So my opponent, I think, did mess up. Okay, I don't want to keep 2 Banishing Gates. I think that's a bit aggressive. I don't need 2 of them. So we'll keep 1, especially because I have the Off You Go, which will get rid of most things, including Sun Wukong, though I wouldn't want to use it on this one, because this one loses fleeting when it comes out, so we just go back to the reserve. However, very crucial here, I think you have to do this move or you're a crazy person. You need to play your Tooth Fairy, like, right now, and get rid of Sun Wukong before the opponent gets a chance to put it out. Like, yeah, it's 4 of their 5 mana, so maybe they would have played something else first, but like, no, I think you got to get rid of it. And then I'm going to tap after my opponent commits their mana here. This is where it's like super, super strong, because early in the game, when the opponent doesn't have very many cards, forcing them to move twice in a row makes it much easier to like cheat a lane and win it with just like a single 1-drop or like some junk ass 2-drop here. I could even potentially keep my whole hand here. As it is, I can't use 3 mana. I could consider playing the Stargazer, but then no, then my reserve would fill up for no reason. Just to have the Stargazer cost 1 mana in the future, I don't think that's worth it. Okay, so my opponent's playing the 3/3, which is perfectly fine. Let's see what else you're going to do before I make any decisions. So right now what's happening is I'm just kind of grinding them out. Like, they have a 2-drop. There's a decent chance that there are 2-drops that will win them this lane, but if they don't have one of those, Baba Yaga does move here. And if they have something that Baba Yaga can't beat in this lane, I can actually play her here. And it's tragic that I'm not in Forest. That was weird. I don't know why my opponent does these moves. You should have just put it here. Now, Baba Yaga would have moved me and moved them, so they would have moved twice and I move once. But instead, we each move once. I don't understand. Yeah, I think my opponent might be playing poorly. Let me just make sure. Baba Yaga, yeah, it doesn't do anything there. Obviously, they have 6 stats. So yeah, I just put my face-up card here, and then I move a lane and they move a lane. So my opponent's really low on cards. They have 2 cards left over after this turn. I have 4. I have removal. I have creatures to play. I am extremely happy. I would love Sabotage for this, but even if I don't get that, I'm still... Oh, Spycraft, there we go. Okay, I'm going to get rid of Lady of the Lake because she's just junk. Yeah, I have water here, but my opponent doesn't. So it's not fighting at all, especially because my opponent has a token here. Yeah, Lady of the Lake, easy pitch. I think this is, frankly, just a bad card. Getting 1 and 2 stats is just not worth it in exchange for getting 3 stats for 2 mana. Sorry, I think I spoke incorrectly. Getting 1 stat for 2 mana twice is a really bad drawback. Like, yes, you get 3 of a single stat for 2 mana. That is good. But it's just so likely that your 1s are having some kind of detrimental effect. Either that they're not helping you move or they're not stopping your opponent from moving. I think it's an easy trash. So now my opponent has to play a card, and they should play this first so that it doesn't get sabotaged. They would want to play it. Oh, no, it's tough. It has 0 forest. Doesn't help them move here. Doesn't... Oh, no, I'm wrong. This is the perfect place to put it. No, my opponent did a perfect play. This is the right place. It doesn't help them move with the forest, but the water helps them move, and the desert stops me from moving. So it's actually totally fine. Great play. I can't use my Spycraft, but what I think I am going to do here is actually just play an off you go. So we're going to get rid of this, and it goes into my reserve, and now my opponent has to move again. So with only 2 cards and 4 mana, they're feeling a little bit of a squeeze here. I have a variety of moves I could make. I could play the Tooth Fairy and the Stargazer to kind of brute force things. Oh, you're playing this? Okay, this is fine. So what I'm going to do here is just let them have this lane, and we're going to play the Tooth Fairy here. So if my opponent has something to win this lane, then so be it. They're going to move twice. And that, I guess, is a little scary. They'd be 2 steps ahead, but they would be like just completely out of cards. They would just have this card in reserve, and that's it. And I also thought it was pretty likely that they didn't have anything, and then I could just brute force this lane with the Stargazer, which I am going to do now. Now, you might say that was a little bit risky to do, because if my opponent did have a 2-drop on their last card, they could have moved here, and that would have been bad. But I think I still would have been okay, because they would just been completely out of cards. And, you know, that's what you got to do as Yzmir, is try to control things and stop the opponent. Okay, I think we are going to just get rid of Sakarabru. I think this is just a bad card. I think it's only like if you flip it into your reserve with Spycraft that it's even potentially worth playing. I think that just like it's too easy for the opponent to have 7 mana to beat 4/4/4 and then also have something left over to move the other lane. So here My opponent didn't play their card, so I still have no target for Spycraft. That is fine. Now, my opponent does have Sabotage cards, so what I'm going to do here actually is play the Stargazer right away. So if they do have a Sabotage card, they can't get it out of here. This is so valuable. It's 2 stats for 1 mana in the place where that one good stat is the only stat that matters for both of us, and it's a tempo move because it only costs 1. So now I'm going to just pass. Okay, this is fantastic. So they got this thing, which actually is strong against Yzmir because Ysmir's all about control. But then again, that just gives me something to do with my 4 mana and the Banishing Gate. Now, unfortunately, if I do that this turn, then I cannot play my Alchemist. So we're going to see what my opponent does. It's quite possible that I want to just play my Alchemist here. This is the rare version. It's a 4/4/4 for 3. So I could fight with it in whichever lane my opponent plays their next creature. Okay. I don't get it. That does nothing. Literally nothing. So we're just going to play the Alchemist here. We're now threatening both lanes. And I'm likely to move in this one because with 2, it's going to be very difficult. My opponent would need like an off you go. Oh, no, I know what they're doing. They're going to play Physical Training. That's what they're doing. So they're going to move here, and I'm going to move here. But then they're going to have a Physical Training and this in their reserve. We're each going to be 2 spaces away from winning. And next turn, I'll be able to Spycraft away the Physical Training. Because they're going to need to play this. And that's not what it is. It's this. I don't know why they... Oh, God. I don't know why they did that. That doesn't do anything. Okay, so they just played 2 creatures that don't do anything. Neither one of them did anything in their respective lanes. They were kind of up against it because this one's strong thing was forest. This one's water. And then they don't have water anywhere. And then the forest spot, I beat them with my rare card. Oh, my God. Well, sometimes you just come up against either a weak opponent or an opponent who had the worst draw in the universe. So we're the control deck beating the fast tempo deck on tempo and still having card advantage. I mean, it's just a tasty time. Okay, here I think I have a really easy pitch. We're going to get rid of Baba Yaga. It's understated. I don't need any more card advantage. And my opponent's about to just get blown out by Spycraft. Well, that's not true. This thing is such garbage. All it does is it stops me from moving here, and it doesn't even help them move. I might not even Spycraft it. My opponent is first, and they might spend their first move playing Mr. Forest, which will produce 5. Okay, so you could argue that it was okay for them to play Mr. Forest here last turn because it gives them the opportunity to play Mr. Forest here this turn. But I think it's still a bad move because of cards like Off You Go, which target it because it has a hand cost of 2. Anyway, we're getting rid of Baba. If I need stats for 3 mana, I can play Alice, who has better stats, and the water is actually very relevant here. And yeah, we'll just see what happens here. I am planning first to play Spycraft. Now, of course, if my opponent has a Sabotage card, well, you know what? If they have a Sabotage card, there's nothing I can do about it. At least it's understated. I'll be able to get rid of the trainee with my own Sabotage card, and that's going to leave them without anything to play. And so they have to either choose to get rid of the Off You Go, or I guess they'll probably get rid of the Alchemist. Or they're playing that. Okay, so they're trying to stop me from moving in the water lane, which means I can move in this lane pretty easily, but that's fine. So we're going to just Spycraft. Get rid of their card. Force them to play a card from hand, and then have nothing else to do. Also note, a restriction of this, characters you control have tough 2, but it specifically states on the card that if it's in the reserve, it's not considered to have the keyword controlled, meaning that you can still sabotage things without paying extra, in case you were wondering. So yeah, for just 2 energy, I got rid of this incredible card. They have to now play whatever's in their hand, and if I can move in either lane, I win, and I have 5 cards to do it with. So yes, it's just it's a demolition derby over here. What do we got? Oh, Physical Training. Well, that was all the more reason to split your cards, but okay. So, I mean, wait a minute, what? Oh no! Oh, they have the rare version that draws them a card. That's critical because that actually means they can play something else from hand. Okay, so I actually have to play this a little bit carefully now. I will do the tempo move. We're gonna just spend a single mana to put a single contest here. And so now I should be okay, because if they put a creature here, I can... Oh, I can't Off You Go it, because it's gonna cost 2 extra energy. Uh-oh. It's Intimidation. Okay, so actually, I'm really curious. What would have happened if they had played a creature here? I couldn't Off You Go it. But, okay, they had 3 mana left over. So they wouldn't have been able to play physical training. So as long as I could beat that creature with Sakarabru, and it seems like I have the rare version, which is a 5/5/5, I would have won anyway. Okay, yeah, but it's fine because they wouldn't have had enough mana to play a creature and physical training. All right, so yeah, that was fun. That was a good game. I won with 2 steps to spare from my opponents. And, you know, even if that is a little close, there was just never a point where I was not in control. Although my opponent had some weird draw or made some misplays because even with just playing Yzmir's inferior creatures against Bravos, I was able to keep up and or be ahead the whole time. So anyway, not a representative game, but glad to see that Yzmir can win against one of the best decks. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.